Davion Mitchell is the top NBA free agent from this current Miami Heat roster, a restricted one. And the Miami Heat might have alluded to the fact that they are going to re-sign Davion Mitchell this offseason in NBA free agency. I'm Nick Roloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I'm going full Windhorse meme trying to piece this together here. But the reason why I'm talking about this is, well, the Heat on Twitter on Wednesday afternoon put out this. It's trust your work. Learn more about Davion Mitchell in his Inside the Heat episode on our YouTube channel, and then posted the link, and it was a full YouTube show about the work and the Mitchell being acquired by the Heat at the NBA trade deadline. And many people might just put, oh, that's cool content, or gloss by it. No, not here at the Heat Report, because I'm going full Windhorse. Why would the Heat post Davion Mitchell, even if he's a pending free agent, if they do not plan on re-signing him? Like, maybe I'm reaching here, and you can tell me that I am. But in my opinion, I don't just often see teams post players that are not currently under contract anymore on their social media pages. That's just me. If you can find me different examples of that happening, I'm more than welcome to hear that. But to me, this just kind of gives a thought process at the Heat really wanting to re-sign Davion Mitchell, and that they are going to find a way to agree to a contract extension. And we're going to talk about Davion more here, but help us out by sharing today's video. Click share button, select Twitter/X icon, click post to Twitter, and if you tag me on Twitter sharing today's video at Nick_Roloff, you'll get a shout out on a show coming up in the next couple of days. We're going to give out about 5 shout outs. So if you follow these steps and tag me at Nick_Roloff, I'll give you a shout out over the weekend. Now, maybe the Heat do not actually have a deal in place, or I'm reaching here. Well, the point of this video is going to be that the Heat need to re-sign Davion anyway, a player that they acquired at the NBA trade deadline for PJ Tucker and a second-round pick from the Raptors, a relatively cheap price point. And he was absolutely sensational for Miami in the 30 games he played after being acquired in mid-February. I mean, he averaged a career high in points, a career high in field goal percentage, a career high in three-point percentage. And I get it. It is only a 30-game sample size, and it might not be the most sustainable, and I'm not going to expect him for a full 82 games to average that in terms of his field goal percentage, that is. But to me, in the 30 games you had Davion on your roster, you couldn't have asked for anything else. He was efficient offensively. He was aggressive. He was very good off the bench when Eric Spoelstra went to that role with him and went with a different starting lineup with Alec Burks. Like, Davion was a point of attack, pitbull defender. He shot a career high from the field in three-point. Like, there just isn't much that you could have asked for more from Davion Mitchell. And he played a couple games, 3 to be exact, for the Heat before the All-Star break. And I thought those games were unfair to judge him because he was just getting acclimated to this roster, his role. But after the All-Star break, after he got some more time with the coaching staff, the Heat roster, and practiced, and when he got into the full swing of things, he was terrific. In the 27 games after the All-Star break, he had a net rating of 4.4, had an incredibly good assist-to-turnover ratio, and shot extremely well from the field as well, having an above 60% true shooting percentage. Like, every metric that you can possibly look at for Davion Mitchell indicated that he was special for Miami following the All-Star break. And I know a lot of people might answer this question with those S's, but I wanted to ask it anyway. Do you want to re-sign Davion Mitchell in NBA free agency this offseason? Type S for sign, type P for pass. It's the pinned comment on today's show. So go down and create a conversation. Now, I would be typing my S for signs, absolutely, but I do want to make it known that it is going to be in an interesting way. Like, it's not an unrestricted free agency for Davion, so the Heat have a very high chance of bringing him back. as long as they give the qualifying offer. Now, this has to be given before free agency opens in the first week of July. An $8.74 million tender makes the Heat eligible to match any contract. So, if you were curious about a qualifying offer and what it is, if the Heat extend that to Davion Mitchell, it would allow the Heat to match any contract in NBA free agency. And if nobody goes out and signs Davion Mitchell and a month goes by in free agency, Mitchell can just accept the one-year deal for $8.74 million and then become an unrestricted free agent next summer. But I do anticipate the Heat and Davion working out a long-term contract extension if another team does not sign him to one. Now, the Heat could let the other team do the hard work for him, and Mitchell gets a contract from, let's just say, the Utah Jazz, and then Miami's like, yeah, thanks for doing the work. We'll take that, and we'll match that and keep Davion on the roster. Now, when you think about what a contract extension with the Heat or a different team in free agency may look like, it's looking like it's going to be $10 million on an annual average value. 4 years, $40 million was the contract projection from Keith Smith at Spotrac. Now, I've seen some other sites project a 3-year for $30 million contract for Davion. Either way, it seems likely that the annual average value for Davion over multiple years will be around that $10 million number. And I have absolutely no issue offering that to Mitchell. Now, I understand that the 30 games that he played with Miami was arguably the best 30-game stretch of his NBA career after being a top 10 pick with the Sacramento Kings 4 years ago. But he is a player that just encapsulates Heat culture. He's tough. He does not back down from a fight. He's scrappy. And if he continues to improve and make that three-point shot, like, not a shock, right? It was a surprise that he shot 45% from three in Miami over those 30 games. If he makes that consistently, and I'm not asking for 45, I'll just give you 40 on maybe 3 or 4 attempts a game because he's not the best shooter and not the most high volume. But if he's able to give you that with his defense and that mentality as a ball handler, there's no reason why that $10 million investment over multiple years wouldn't come back and be something that you are happy you gave out. I also like when players want to be a member of the Miami Heat. And if you want to play for my team and you give adequate effort on a nightly basis, I am going to think very fondly of you. Well, in that video that the Heat put out with Davion Mitchell, he said and shared that he told his agent that he wanted to get traded to Miami at the deadline because he knew it was a high possibility Toronto ultimately moved him before the deadline passed. And he said that the Heat, or coming to the Heat, was a dream come true because he just respects the organization, the culture, and the work that is needed and required to be elite at this level. So I love Davion Mitchell's mentality. I like his play on the court, and I like that he wants to be a member of Miami. Another reason why I like Davion is that I think he's a big-time player. Listen, he made the playoffs one time as a member of the Kings, but when we saw him in postseason basketball play for Miami, whether it's the 2 play-in games against Chicago and Atlanta or the 4 games in the playoffs against the Cleveland Cavaliers, I would say he was maybe the only player on Miami that rose their play, rose to the occasion. Now, did it impact winning? No, but look at these numbers. Just absolutely ridiculous. A better than 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio in the 6 games played, averaging 15 points a game in those 6 games while shooting a ridiculous 57% from the field and above 50% from 3 in these games. Like, it just was absolutely fascinating to see Davion Mitchell take on the challenge of guarding Darius Garland, Trae Young, Kobe White, and then Donovan Mitchell and more in the playoffs. Like, did he slow them down to the highest degree? No, and it's the reason why the Heat got killed. But I won't put all that blame on him because there was other issues with the Heat's defense, more or less Tyler Hero. But the point is this. Davion Mitchell is a great role player. He came off the bench. He started. He dominated and was a star in his role. He doesn't back down from a fight. He rose to the occasion when the Heat were facing elimination. I'm just not sure he's a starting level point guard on a title contending team, but he is a player that you want on your team and could fill the kind of edges of the roster around a nucleus that is a title contender. So yes, I want to keep Davion around long term. I'm not acting like he is a pivotal piece of this Heat core, but a really good player that complements what hopefully is a good core coming to fruition in the next couple of years. And we'll talk about what I think could ultimately happen in free agency this offseason. But make sure you get your Heat shirts today. $21, usually $28, so $7 off sale. Sizes are running out. Already a couple sizes not available to be purchased. Go to chatsports.com/Heat shirt to get yours today. Links in the description and comments of today's show. One more time, chatsports.com/Heat shirt, $7 off for $21 total. The question that you have to ask, and the one that I'll ask, is if I believe Davion Mitchell is not a starting level point guard on a championship team, or at least one that has Tyler Hero due to his inefficiencies defensively and as a ball creator in big moments, like then who is that starting point guard? Because yes, I want to re-sign Davion, and I think $10 million per season is very fair for a backup point guard to a solid starting one. Well, the issue is that you're probably not finding a starting point guard in free agency. These are the top 6 in my opinion. I'm not counting Fred VanVleet as they have a team option. I'm not counting Kyrie Irving as he has a player option and will likely re-sign. And I wouldn't consider any 6 of these guys starting level point guards. Like, I'm intrigued by Malcolm Brogdon, but is he a starter at this point in his career on a title team? I don't know. D'Lo does not play winning basketball whatsoever. I wanted Tyus Jones last season for the cheap, but with him and Davion, 2 undersized guards, are they someone that you want to build your point guard rotation around and complement Tyler Hero? Not sure there. Same concerns for Tre Jones. Chris Paul and Russ are interesting, but those guys are likely backup point guards at this stage in their career. And if you signed one of those guys, well, then it's just 2 backup point guards that is one is being forced to start alongside Tyler Hero. I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. Now, if you talk about trading for a point guard and making one of these 4 your starting one next to Tyler Hero and having Davion back them up, well, now we're talking a little bit here. Now, I have a lot of skepticism for Trae Young. I don't think him and Tyler could play together whatsoever. LaMelo Ball has a lot of concerns. He's actually more injury prone and misses more games than Zion Williamson. Ja's intriguing. A player that is getting me a lot of buzz, and I don't think would ultimately happen, but I'm fascinated by the discussion, is actually DeJounte Murray. He really intrigues me as a trade option for the Miami Heat. Why would I say that? Well, I've labeled DeJounte Murray as a solid player next to Hero in the past. Last season at the deadline before Terry Rozier trade ultimately happened. Why? He's 6'4", 6'5". His wingspan is about 6'8", 6'10", and he is a good defender. The reason why DeJounte intrigues me now is I think he fits next to Hero good. He can get his own bucket. He can create and is a natural point guard, although he has been forced to play the 2 over the past couple of seasons, but he was a natural PG in San Antonio. But he just ruptured his Achilles last January. Now, you might be concerned by that, and I understand that concern, but if he is going to be discounted on the trade market right now and is maybe going to miss 65, 70% of the games this upcoming season, well, I'll take the flyer on DeJounte because he has multi-years left on his deal, 2-3 seasons at 31 to 35 mil over the next couple of seasons. What if you were able to convince New Orleans to trade you DeJounte Murray because they want to get off that contract? They don't see him in their long-term plans because they're kind of retooling and rebuilding. You give them Terry Rozier and Jaime Jaquez Jr. You don't have to offer any picks to New Orleans. You give them an expiring $26 million contract in Rozier. You give them Jaquez to match salary closer, so they get a youngish forward in Jaquez. They get expiring salary in DeJounte Murray, or excuse me, Terry Rozier, that could benefit them in their kind of retool and rebuild coming off the books next offseason. And they're just like, all right, the trade for DeJounte was a mess. He's injured. We don't want to deal with that, and the contract's long. We don't want to have that on our books. That is a buy low move that could greatly impact the Heat over the next 2 to 3 seasons. You get DeJounte with Hero, and maybe you get KD, and now you have a DeJounte Murray, Hero, KD, Bam, Ware first 5 with Davion coming off the bench. That is very fascinating to me. But let's round out the show with this. Can Davion Mitchell be a starting point guard for the Miami Heat? I don't think he can. If the Heat want to win an NBA championship, you need to find that starting one with Davion coming off the bench. But let me know your thoughts. Type Y for yes or type N for no.